So we come to our penultimate presentation, the penultimate presentation of this year's event, and delighted to invite up to the stage Neng from Celluranics. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Forward, backwards, and you've got your time down there.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thank Paul for the kind introduction. And this is my first time attending the Bio Innovations conference. And I'm glad that we decided to come here. I think it's one of the best conferences that we have attended. So one of the testimonies that, for the previous conferences that I have been to, usually on the last day in the afternoon, the conference room is mostly empty. But the fact that we still have lots of my fellow attendees here, that's a testament to how effective and attractive this conference is. So thank you. And so my name is Neng, and I'm the founder and CEO of Celluranics. So I've been asked by lots of people, what does the company name Celluranics mean? Actually, it's the combination of two words, cellulose and furanics. So we are in the business of converting cellulose to furanics. So over the past 2 days, I think all of you have heard the presentation from 12 of our fellow FDCA companies from China, the GS Biomass and Leaf Bio. So we are the third. Well, we're not the last one. We are one of the probably 5 to 6 FDCA companies in China. So, but we are differentiating in a way that we use a different technology and a different feedstock. And there are reasons that why we're pursuing a different technology. So I will explain later why. So first about a quick introduction about Celluranics. So we're a startup company, and we're not a large company or even a medium-sized company. So we're a startup backed by venture capital firms in China. And so we have a mission that is to defossilize the chemical industry. So previously, I used decarbonize, but at the last year's conference in the Nova Institute in Cologne, Germany, and actually we're discussing that defossilize is a more accurate word than decarbonize because we still use carbon as the feedstock. So just a quick introduction that I'm not going to, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through the wordy paragraph. But what I want to bring to your attention is low cost and scalable. So that's the focus of our technology development, because we do think that for the transition to a greener future, that any technology has to be low cost and also scalable, because that's the two of the most important requirements. So that has been seen in the reports by McKinsey and also shared by the breakthrough venture funded by Bill Gates. So first I would like to introduce our team. So we come from the chemical industry, and most of our teams are commodity, chemical background. Myself was in the PTA business for 80 years. So I was with British Petroleum, the petrochemical business for 80 years. And some of you know that BP sold all its petrochemical business to Ineos. So the BP petrochemicals do not exist anymore. But we were one of the two only PTA process technology licensing technology providers in the world. And for our other members of the funding team and also the core team, you can see that some from the Honeywell, UOP, and Wacker, Johnson Macy. So we are a team of industry veterans. And in terms of we are now, so compared to some of our competitors or friends, so I think we're pretty much at the similar stage. So our company was founded in 2020, so it has been 6 years. We were doing the R&D for the first 4 or 5 years. I still remember that at the beginning that we were doing milligram scale reactions in test tube like of reactors. And later, we scaled up to gram scale reactions, like tens of gram and hundreds of gram, and finally kilogram scale. And after the kilogram scale, we had to build our pilot plant, which is a 50-ton per year pilot plant. And that pilot plant has been running since June 2024. So it has been like 1 year and a half. And as of now, we have started the construction of the 5,000-ton demo plant in Hangzhou, Zhejiang province. So we are like, if you look at our friends in the Avantium's process, so they are in the process of commissioning their 5,000-ton demo plant. And our friends at Leaf and GS Biomed also in the process of either constructing or close to commissioning the first demo plant. So I think it's a very exciting moment for our industry because all of us have gone through the initial R&D stage, and at least for now, we all have survived the valley of death. I think that's the topic of our earlier panel discussion. So I will come back to this, and we are entering the next phase of the commercial scale production. So, but for someone from the commodity background, like PTA, and for folks who are not familiar with PTA, the latest scale of PTA plant is 3 million tons a year. So that's scary, 3 million tons a year. So that's for FDCA, in order to compete with PTA, right? We always talk about the economy of scale. So we do think that in the future, the scale of FDCA plant needs to be at least 500,000 tons a year in order to compete with PTA, on the economy of scale. I mentioned earlier that we are a venture-backed company. So at the bottom of the slide, you can see that those are the logos of our shareholders. So we're very fortunate to have the support from some of the top-tier venture capital firms from China. And also the one on the last, that's the CVC of one of the largest Chinese apparel company. So you can see that people, both the financial investors and the corporate investors are interested in FDCA, this product. Okay, so this is what we do. Thank you, Paul. So this is what we do. We have two core products. One is the glucaric acid, the other is FDCA. So today's focus is going to be FDCA. So some of you may know that in 2004, the US Department of Energy designated 12 platform chemicals out of the several hundred different kinds of, like a biochemical products that can be derived from biomass. And if you look at our conversion technology, we have 2 of them, glucaric acid and FDCA. So we already joke among ourselves that we can hit 2 birds with 1 stone. And so there are lots of words here. I'm not going to repeat all of them. And so many of you know that for the you call it the prevailing FDCA production technology, right? Some of you that if you're familiar with this, you know that they use fructose as the feed, right? And HMF, a compound called HMF, as the intermediate. But we decided to go with a different route, and many of you have, must be asked why. We also have been challenged by, our, investors, the new investors, right? The investors turned shareholders that believe in our technology. But for the, the new investor we talked to, we have been asked that why this new technology. So I think there are 3 reasons. The first is that for someone from a commodity chemical background, we always worry about the feedstock because simple logic, right? If we want to make a commodity product, the feedstock has to be a commodity. I think that's easy to understand. So compared to fructose, glucose is a commodity chemical. It's produced in almost every country and also it's traded internationally. And glucose is right now in China is there's excess capacity in China. So that if someone wants to buy lots of glucose, I think someone would be more than happy to ramp up their, the utilization rate of their plant. And also we know that in the US, corn-based glucose is also very abundant. I think to me that the most important or the most attractive aspect of glucose is that it can be converted from the 2nd generation feedstock, that is the lignocellulose. So we have been working with a cellulosic glucose provider. I think that's very important. And also that another important feed is polycotton, because for the textile industry, they have been dealing with waste textiles. So there's a lot, 100% cotton textile. There's also mostly the polyester and cotton mixed textile. So that's I think we have been working with textile companies for this to use the recycled polycotton as a feed for our technology. And the second is that I mentioned the low cost and scalable. So I'm going to focus the rest of my presentation on that, why we think our technology is low cost and scalable. And the third is from a IP perspective, because that when we started the company, we evaluated the IP space of the HMF technology route and realized that the IP space is super crowded. So if you look at the patent applications and as well as the granted patents in the area, we have Avantium, that's the most well-known name, and also DuPont and Stora Enso from Finland, and also even Canon, the Japanese company, the camera maker, that even have a very important patent in the area. And also for some of you that are probably aware that in 2017, 2018, there's a patent litigation between Avantium and also DuPont. So for like a startup that who wants to develop our own technology and potentially license our technology, so our IP and in the broad term, the FTO is very important, and that's one of the three reasons why we decided to develop a totally new technology. So now I want to take one step back and talk a little bit more about FDCA. So I always share with my colleagues that FDCA is a very rare example of a bio-based chemical. The reason being is that we all know that for a new, let's say, product, whether it's bio-based or fossil-based, it always faces, like I always say, three challenges. The first is that will someone use it? Meaning that are the properties going to be good enough to be used by downstream customers? Let's suppose like cost side, are the properties good enough to be used by anyone? And the second is that the scale, the volume. I think the gentleman from Kimberly-Clark talked about the volume. I think that message echoed with me a lot. And the third one is about the cost. So I think for FDCA, I think it's one of the rare examples of strong market demand coupled with policy drive. So this is some of the materials from Avantium's investor presentation materials. As you can see that we all know that they already sold most of their capacity for the next 5 years. So that's really extraordinary for a new product because their demo plant is 5,000 tons a year. So 5 years capacity will be 25,000 tons. So that's very significant for a new bio-based product. And you can see that some of their attachment from their CEO is that for now they already sold the capacity for the next 2 years. So again, let me repeat this: FDCA is a rare example of strong market demand and policy drive. Because this goes back to our conversation with the venture capital firm. They always ask, okay, let's assume your technology is superior, and someone give you money to build a plant, whether it's a demo scale or commercial scale. What if no one wants to buy your product? So I already use the presentation materials from Avantium to convince them that don't worry about this. So this is just like for someone from in the commodity background, right? I always say, okay, how can we lower the production cost of FDCA? So from a techno-economics perspective, right, we always break down the cost of production into fixed cost and variable cost. Before I dive further into this, I have some information to share with you about the price difference of FDCA versus PTA. So if you look at the table on the top right, so we can see the selling price of FDCA in China. So we can just go look at the price in 2025. It's between the 100 and 150,000 Chinese yuan a ton. And if we convert to the US dollars, it's about 15,000 to 25,000 US dollars a ton. So for a chemical, that's, I consider it, I call it a luxury, it's like a specialty chemical. For comparison, for 2025, PTA selling price in China is only 5,000 Chinese yuan per ton. So you can see that the price difference is not 5%, it's not 50%, it's 20 to 30 times difference. So this brings like a inconvenient question, right, for all of us who are developing, let's say, bio-based products, right? We always say, okay, this is awesome, but when customers love green, low-carbon products, but once you ask them to pay, we're not talking about this 20, 30 times difference, even 20% or 30% more green premium. That's the term that we use, that most people will walk away. So that's why that for someone that who, at the beginning of, when our company was founded, I would say, how can we lower the cost of production at a given scale for as much as possible? So now we go to break down the cost of production into fixed costs and the variable costs. We know that for the fixed cost, it's related to the capex, right? The overhead, the maintenance, and at the end of the day, it's all like break down to the fixed cost, like normalize it to the per ton of the capacity. And for the variable cost, I think that's probably where more people are more familiar with. So in terms of the raw materials, to make 1 ton of FDCA, how many tons of sugar do we have to consume, right? And also how much steam and electricity, right, does the process need? And so all our efforts, our R&D efforts for the past 5 to 6 years are centered around those different costs. So let's look at the fixed cost first. As someone from PTA, I always would like to, use the data from the PTA industry. So for the next 5,000-ton demo plant, the cost estimate is 500 million Chinese yuan, and our capacity is 5,000 tons. So if you do a simple math, that the unit capex per capita is 100,000 Chinese yuan per ton. Okay. But if you look at all the world scale PTA plants in China, like whether it's BP technology or the Investor technology, the difference is extraordinary. So on one hand we're looking at 100K, but for the PTA it's like from 1.5 to 3. Yeah, I think that number difference should impress lots of people in the audience. So the question is that we always ask ourselves and also ask other people that either for the FDCA is positioned as a specialty chemical or a commodity chemical. We believe that FDCA is a commodity chemical ultimately. It's going to be many, many years down the road. It's not going to be, let's say, before 2030. It's not probably going to be before 2050. But if you look at ultimately, it will be a commodity because PTA was first invented in the 1960s. And it has been, as I continuously optimized for 50, 60 years. So, and also I talk about the capacity, right? And also the feedstock and also the process, right? We talk about the continuous process. For commodity chemical, the process had to be 100% continuous. I know I'm at the end of the, my time, so I'm going to accelerate. So we are leveraging our PTA expertise with, FDCA production. So we are working with, the world-class catalyst companies doing joint development work, try to, improve the conversion efficiency. And our process in development colleagues, we're doing lots of the energy integration. And also, in terms of the, the catalyst, the solvents, and we have to, keep recycling of them. So, everything we do are centered around one goal, that is to lower the cost of production as much as possible. So this is just a quick, this is my last slide, I believe, to talk about our business model. I think we are similar to Avantium. So we are, our plan is only going to build and own the 5,000 ton a year demo plant. We're not going to build a larger capacity, plant. For example, if we talk about 200,000 ton or, 500,000 ton, we're not going to do that. We're going to license our technology or partner with a big player in the field because even though our team are from the industry, but we believe that chemical plants at that scale are not for startups because there are like enormous barriers to do that. And I always like to talk about whether it's a fossil-based or bio-based chemicals in terms of the value chain, because I heard that term over and over at different conferences, including this one. So if you look at the value chain of, let's say the FDCA, right, with the Celluranics technology. So our feedstock, the upstream providers are those like a polycotton or, lignocellulosic sugar producers. I put some of the company examples there. We're not in the business to make sugar from, lignocellulose because that's not where our expertise is. We just heard that, there are like a biomass, the collection, right, transportation, storage. I will let someone else to worry about it. So what the Celluranics is that we specialize in the chemical conversion of sugar to FDCA to glucaric acid. And also we don't do polymerization. because that's also not where we have our competitive advantage. We partner with downstream resin producers. We sell our FDCA to them, and they will make into whether it's polyester, PF, or polyamide or polyurethane. And then, through the converters between the, they'll be sold to the eventual brand owners, whether it's Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or the beverage companies in China, or apparel companies. Yeah, and what we're really interested in is to be able to license our technology to potential licensees. So we have been in conversations with potential licensees. They include feedstock providers, people who produce sugar, and because sugar itself is not of much value. So there are companies, sugar producers, that want to go further down the value chain. And also, polymer manufacturers, that's obvious. And also for the chemical companies, especially the current PTA producers. So we have been developing our technology with the goal is that be able to retrofit our process technology at existing PTA assets. This would be very attractive for two different reasons. One is that for attractive to PTA producers, right? The second is that for the retrofitted plant, it can significantly lower the capex, which will be reflected on the cost of production of FDCA. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much.